Okay. We're good to go, Tony. We're good.
Ready to go?
Yep.
We're live?
Yes.
Love that part. Take the March Planning Commission meeting is called to order. And we want to welcome our guests and members to the board. You want to pronounce your name?
I'm Katie Smith, Spiker Smith.
Okay.
Christine Spiker.
Josh Spiker.
Okay. Anybody have anything to add yet?
No.
Start with Timmy?
No.
Me? Joel, anything? Bruce?
No.
Larry? I'm going to skip over the election for right now. I don't want to get directly to the Spiker subdivision. You guys have to sit around through the whole meeting, if that's okay with you, Chad.
Yep, that's fine.
So I'm going to turn this over to Chad. He probably explains a little more intelligent than I can sometimes. So we'll let him go here.
Yeah, I'm going to give everybody a little bit of history of this because I've got a few different versions of this. So this is a subdivision. This is the first one I received. So there's several lots up here that are being created. And the very first version that was sent to us showed Cates Mountain Road, a proposed 30-foot right-of-way, and an existing road. This was a road, this is off of Sang Run Road. This is a road that existed since 1997, it's our record, so it existed prior to the subdivision ordinance, so that's a little bit more relaxed standard. We really can't control what the applicant does on property they don't own. We just look at it closer in here, but all this was existing. So I signed the first version of that last year. Then it was brought to my attention that there was arbitration involved in this, and a second version was brought to me that changed the location of that road. As you can see here, there was another road bed and a proposed 16-foot wide right-of-way. 30-foot would be the minimum for a new road of this size. At that time, because of the arbitration, I kind of went back with the surveyor. I talked to the county attorney. I said I could sign this with some notations on it that this was the result of arbitration. There's not a specific section in the ordinance that addresses this, but there are two exemptions in the ordinance. One is for boundary settlements, so if there's a disputed area, those can be exempt from the typical subdivision standards, and also if there's dedication of right-of-way, that's exempt. So in discussing with the county attorney, he felt that it would be appropriate to allow that because it was the result of arbitration. I did not get the actual final plat. I did not sign it.
Arbitration between who?
Between Bill Spiker, I believe this is, you can fill me in because I have not been made aware of all this. So
it was my grandmother Ruth. The middle property that they're subdividing is my grandmother Ruth. The bottom property they're coming across is my father Joe and Christine mother's property. That they if you go back to the first plat with that 30-foot right-of-way, that was actually issued after a deed that was given. My grandmother, at the top there on the top left is my uncle's cabin, and the top right are my parents' property. My grandmother decided in 2007 to give my uncle a right-of-way through my parents' property that she had no right to give, and they presented that deed to Chad so it made it look like they had a 30-foot right-of-way that they did not have. So then that's what started. My mom is an heir to my father's portion off the property, but we have the double side also that she's also owns the bottom of the property. We went back to mediation, and I had asked in 2021, December 2021, I asked Chad what was on record with the county as Cates Mountain Road. And through mediation, the second plat that you just saw that we're just seeing today actually for the first time, that is the layout that the county has on record as the pre-existing Cates Mountain Road. That is technically Cates Mountain Road per the documents that you sent me that's dated July 27th, 1995, that's the recorded date, which would pre-exempt the subdivision ordinance. So we didn't even know that this paperwork was being submitted on my mother's behalf until just recently. Through the mediation, we have an agreement that through Judge Gregory since January said that we both have, that it is an agreement. And in that agreement on number 5, it states that Christine is supposed to be able to have this prior to being submitted to the county. and it is supposed to be reviewed and signed by her before it is submitted to the county. However, the estate and the surveyor is working on behalf of the estate. They took upon themselves to submit all this without our knowledge and any okay. We're just seeing this actual new plat for the first time today with you all. So what we are asking is, we're asking for a few things. First of all, that is a pre-existing road recorded from the county. We're working off the documents that are on record with the county as Case Mountain Road. They're wanting 16 feet. We're saying that the current road's 11 feet coming across Christine. There's been things that have been happening, and the example is today, that they're just doing what they want to do. So we're saying no. You have to follow the agreement that we all have, and that's in place. So what our attorney, Rob Alderson, asked, he can't be here today, and he has asked that we ask the planning commission if we can postpone this until potentially April. We withdraw this. This was done not authorized, not on behalf of Christine. Mr. Schultz has no authorization to file this on her behalf, and we weren't made aware of this. And again, we're just now seeing this plat. We haven't even, like, we're seeing it in real time with you all. We don't even know what's on this plat to verify that it is done correctly to our agreement in mediation. So that's where.
You basically want us to table it until March or?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and explain what my issue with
Okay.
this was. So if you see here, there was a Cates Mountain Road proposed 11-foot right-of-way. And just to clarify, there's a difference between the roadway and the road right-of-way. Typically, a subdivision this size, we'd have, like a 12-foot wide road, but it would be within a 30-foot wide right-of-way. And the right-of-way will allow for snow plowing, for maintenance, for ditching, utilities, and it also gives some protection if the neighbor were to place a fence or rocks or some other obstruction at the edge of the right-of-way, there's still room to get through the actual area. I don't think an 11-foot right-of-way is sufficient because all those things could happen and you can't get up there. There's some sharp turns. Again, if the road existed there, our records back, I think maybe, did I share with you a copy of our addressing?
I have a copy of what you shared with me.
Okay, I don't remember right off.
Yeah, it's document, July 27th, 1995.
Was it a recorded plat or
Yes,
just, okay,
it's a recorded plat.
okay, I don't remember that. Our records of it, we look in our older addressing book, and if it shows up, we say it's an existing road. We don't always have real specific.
And actually, not to interrupt you, Todd, but that paper that you provided me, during mediation, it said, well, it wasn't a satellite image, so how do we know? But there are, multiple ponds on the property, and that's identified on the county record, the plat that's with the county. So that's how we were able to say, no, this is very cut and dry for our standing. And I know your concern is about like emergency or whatever. You can drive that entire road. I have pictures. I just drove it yesterday. You can take your car and drive the entire road. And actually, there are already still on existing 6 culverts on that road still usable that are being used.
Again, part of my issue is not so much the cartway itself, but allowing some room on the edges of that. Typically, the right-of-way is at least 5 foot beyond the edge of the actual pavement or gravel, and it would be 30 foot. So that's where my issue was. When I received that from Mr. Schultz, I copied the attorneys involved and said, I'm not sure exactly what's happening. I said, somebody needs to come present this, because at first they said nobody was going to, and I said, well, I don't believe it's my responsibility to try to track down everybody involved in this, and that's why I contacted the attorneys and said, my job as subdivision administrator is just to look at the things in the subdivision ordinance, right-of-way, cartways. I don't want to get too involved in all the other issues that I know are going on. So.
Anybody have any discussion on this, concerns at this point? Now, is the arbiter the final decision of the arbiter, you're gonna bring it back to us for approval? Is that what it is? You're gonna try to, I guess that's some way to put it, but your opinion is that you're going to try to do it through an arbiter, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we'd like time to review the plat.
Okay.
To look at the plat. I don't know what's on the entire plat. I would like to review the plat. That's in the agreement. The state has broken the agreement.
Okay.
So we need
Is
to address that.
April
first.
long enough time, 30 days?
I believe it will be. If it's not, then what is
Then
the
just
next
get over to
step?
Chad and.
Then just let Chad know.
Typically the first Wednesday, we had to move this one, but it's usually the
Right.
first Wednesday of every month.
Okay.
Do I need to make a motion to table this, or just let it go, and then
Yeah, if you all want to, if that's what you want to do.
you wanna table till April, right?
Correct.
At least April. Have a motion?
Yes.
Second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So moved. You guys are welcome to go.
Thank
If
you.
you don't wanna stay for the rest of it, it's boring. While I'm thinking about it, I forgot to approve the minutes of the last meeting. I get a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion, second. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Let's do Sierra's thing, and then we'll do the officer vote. All right, you wanna come up here, and sit down and read it?
So, we have a draft of a water and sewer plan amendment. This is the fifth amendment of the 2014 water and sewer plan. They're good for about 10 years. I'm actually trying to get some support to start taking up, updated rewrite and revision of the whole plan. In the meantime, we still have projects that we need to do, and we need to, there's been a request for a couple of items to be amended. The first one on here is an amendment from the town of Grantsville. They would like to do an annexation. I think that, if you could show the water map, Chad. I don't know which page it is, just keep on scrolling down. There we go. Let's do the water service map here in Grantsville. So it is in the planned service area, but they want to extend from the status of planned service and upgrade it to water service existing or under construction for a small area along Hemlock Drive. These people have had some E. coli contamination in their water sources, and the town would like to annex them and put them on public water as well as public sewer, and we'll update that map as well. And in order to do so, a water and sewer plan needs to be updated for consistency. So that is the purpose of the Grantsville amendments. And then there's a sewer one mapped lower. You can take a look at that since it's in the same context. Yeah, and this one actually has a little more zoomed in area. So you can see that Hemlock Drive. So right now it's the brown, which we're updating it to the S1, but it previously was yellow in our other maps. So that's the only changes to the Grantsville sewer area maps right now. The other changes are, let's go to the Gorman Water one. This is a mainly text amendment, but also has this like map amendment. So in Gorman, there's two water sources. There were two wells. One of the wells collapsed like a year and a half ago. And so we're working on trying to have a redundant well and water source. So we had an engineer do some preliminary studies, and they located a well source, but it's outside the water area, and they require some pumps and some tanks. So this has the proposed well, that raw water line, and also and then lines to take it to the treatment plant and provide water service there. Then there was also some slight map updates where they're highlighted in hot pink, where it said the future service area, but those parcels I identified as they're getting billed for water service, so I've updated it to existing water service. It doesn't change the shape of the water service here in Gorman though. Any questions on the Grantsville one or the Gorman one before I move on?
How long is pipeline from Craigslist down?
I do not know, but that is,
Well, that's
it's
the
probably like
capital
a
scale.
mile or two.
Yeah, closer to two. Okay.
Yeah, but it's mainly on the county road right away is what we're
Oh,
trying
is
to
it?
achieve.
Okay.
Yeah, it follows things like Mountain Road and, I'm trying to remember the other one. It escapes me, but I can, I'd hope to have a web map on there so we can zoom into that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions on Gorman or Grantsville? Okay, moving on to the sewer, amendment for Chestnut Ridge and Jennings. So this is another it's more text amendment, so there's no changes to the service area or status, but we do want to have a proposed pump station. This would get the sewage to the treatment plant in Grantsville, so it just means they're replacing some lines, and because of just the system needs to be kept up to date. So there's some improvements we would like to do, and one of them is putting in a pump station. And then some adjustments to lines, changing, there's like a lot of pressure lines and trying to move more into gravity lines. Same goes for the Jennings section, which also gets fed into the Ransville wastewater treatment plant. They propose another pump station here, and also some people have like their septic tanks still, but they want to switch them over to like grinder pumps and like take out those septic tanks, so it just goes in the sewer system. And then there's a couple areas where they're using force main, where they have gravity lines and vice versa. We had somebody come in and study this area and to make our system more resilient and provide better service for the customers. Any question on those? So we do have a public hearing on March 18th during the commissioners meeting. We're working on putting those advertisements need to be in the paper twice before we have our public hearing. Today is an opportunity for the public to hear about this and also comment on it. But I was hoping for the planning commission approval, and also this is consistent with our comprehensive plan. So then we can put that in our submission packet to Maryland Department of Planning and Maryland Department of Environment.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
Larry might be able to help answer it too, I don't know. I mean, I know there's a lot of money in Grantsville right now due to the money that was allocated for the housing and everything down. What the state of Maryland did a budget issue anyway, right? As a capital improvement fund still available to attack some of these or not?
That's still to be determined, like the state is still working through their budgets and that sort of thing. Though it is important regardless of if the state has money or not, we need to have this plan updated in order for us to be eligible for that funding. So that's important. So we can do our part.
That's all
and
right.
hopefully they
Right.
can meet us in the middle.
I mean, I'm asking that question, I'm kind of addressing it to Larry too, is the fact that you hear all the horror stories about our budget deficit and everything else. Where's it gonna get cut in these capital improvement projects? Cause all these small towns, cause we had an incident, an accident where the fire at Friends Stockyard, the water main broke at the end of town. That's unacceptable. It's almost like being in Los Angeles and the fire truck can't get water. I mean, that's how I felt about it. And I think that, if they had to go to Grantsville, they didn't get water, close, or McHenry. So I know a lot of these systems are getting old. I mean, the thing in Jennings is terrible, and it needs to be addressed, and always keeps getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. I mean, I don't know if the county can afford to put that kind of money out, but I'm also, what I'm hearing from the state, they're cutting back a lot of the programs, and this may be one of them, that scares me. I'm hoping not, but I mean, that's probably what you're hearing too, I think.
Yeah, pretty much everywhere. It's
Yeah.
just but as much as I don't like hearing that we don't have our funding, at least we can be proactive in these times where we kind of have a lull in funding. So whenever there would be funding available, or all of a sudden, I don't know, just been through cycles of oh, here's some stimulus money. Do you have any projects? I want to have a very big list of projects to give them and be here, you can we'll get these done. Look, we have some really good stuff.
We have to have our county planning and intent put into this plan first, and then the
Right.
funding comes, it comes.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing I've always talked about for years is the fact that when money's available, it may have been designed 10 years ago. You may not get that money for 10 years. And so then by that time, 10 years later, that costs 25 or 30% more than what it did when you allocated the money 10 years ago. And that's the frustration when you look at a remodel of a school, we look at all this stuff where the money was allocated 5 or 6 years ago, now we're at 25% kicker, so somebody's gotta step in and pay that difference. That's where I think government's gotta catch up with how that procurement process is done, and it's never gonna happen, but it's frustrating because they're gonna, you bid a project like the remodel out the middle school, whatever, and that project's gonna cost, several $100,000 over what it probably was, because that money was allocated, right? The engineering was done 10 years ago, and now they're finally getting it done. So it's interesting how this process is. I know all you can do is submit and do this, and But
Well, that,
hopefully-
and also I think as long, it's important that for us to be thoughtful and kind of plan out these projects, so then hopefully one day we can be proactive and be in front of it before we have the
Right.
wells collapse or have other issues. We're just, but
Right.
it's a constant upkeep.
Yep.
Very good. So can you guys maybe make a motion to, like, approve pending the commissioner's approval of it?
Now, would you need
I
some
move
money?
to approve the draft of the water and sewer plan.
Pardon?
I said, I move to approve the draft of the water and sewer
Okay.
plan.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So moved, young lady.
Thank you so much.
Very nice,
I
thank you.
appreciate it. What's next on your agenda?
Election
Uh,
officers, unless you have something.
I was hoping
ahead.
to like do like transportation
Yeah, that's right.
stuff
Go ahead.
while I have you guys. So last year on our priority letter, we had 10 projects. The first one was the the 219 North Extension into Pennsylvania. The second one was safety improvements on 219 near Traders Landing for like pedestrians. There's the Grantsville Sidewalk Extension was number 3 from the east side of town and onto River Road on Route 40. The fourth one was the Oakland Bypass. The fifth one was a Laughlin Trail accessibility enhancement. The sixth one was a Garrett Strand's operating capital funding. Number 7 was Forefront Intermediate Mountain Bike Trail. Number 8 was improvements to Maryland 135 to Sand Flat Road. And number 9 was Grantsville sidewalk extensions along 669. And number 10 was the Broadford Lake accessible fishing path. So now's the time that I'm starting to talk to all the mayors and the elected officials to see if they have any other projects. I met with Transit yesterday. There's a new transit chief, and so they're actually going to be adding some fixed route service to make their services a little more efficient in the higher populated areas, particularly in Oakland around Walmart and the hospital and things, health department. So that's an expansion of service. They also need some vehicles and there's other safety, like generator and things for their facility. So we'll be adding them to the priority letter this year. We also have successfully, so hopefully 1st of April, we'll have a public meeting about the Oakland Harrington Manor Trail project with the proposed alignment. We're working with agencies and some private landowners to kind of go through our initial recommendations before we release those to the public. And then, let's see here, and then, what was I? So Oakland Harrington Manor 135 projects are like moving through, and I'm hoping to be applying for the next phases of this project if the feasibility study proves that it's feasible, and to bring the concept plan up to engineering and procure any right-of-ways that we need. So I'll be requesting them in our priority letter. We also have a grant for the traffic study and a master mobility plan for active transportation in Garrett County. And so hopefully I'll get through procurement by the fall for those. And some safety things have come to my attention, like there's an intersection of 135 at Swanton Road and also Broadford Road. There's been accidents, so we're going to see if we can do either a safety study and come up with a plan for that, or if we can just figure out what kind of improvements to those intersections that would make them safer for people to move through. The towns have brought up having some speed awareness signs, so like the little light up signs like you go through accident where it has it has your speed actually as you go through. That seems to make a difference on enforcement of speeds through those areas. And what was the other? There was some other wish list things. And then I'm looking to apply for the pilot rural and tribal assistance program through the Federal Highway Administration. So this is like a first time thing, and it's first come first serve, and basically it'll get you like everything but construction. So I'm throwing in a bunch of projects including bridges and culverts, particularly the 3rd Street Bridge in Oakland, as well as like Sang Run Bridge, and they'll do everything from the design, public outreach, environmental impact, impact work, and get us construction documents. So we're literally shovel ready for several of our projects. So I'm very excited to put in for that opportunity. Can I get a letter of support for that application from you guys?
Yeah,
All right, I'll send Chad a template.
okay.
All right, very good. And so I'm hoping next time I'll present the prioritized priority letter. But I guess my question is like, are there any safety, transportation related things that we should consider putting on our list? I've been trying to keep it short because nobody has any money, but it's always good to keep it updated. I actually get to cross some things off the list, like the number 7 Fork Mountain Intermediate Bike Trail. We got funded, so I don't have to put it up one. So, and that's the goal. Keeps on
I forget
changing.
where I was the other day, but I got run over.
I think the same flat road's been going on for years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Trying to do something with that.
So. But I think but we also have like some other pots of money that are available to us now that we have a local roadway safety plan. So I'm looking forward to apply for those. Maybe get them accomplished that way.
Anything else, any questions?
Well, have your thinking cap on as you're driving around or
I'm
hear about
trying to
stuff
think,
and
I
bring
almost
them
got
to
it the other day, that's why I'm trying to think where it was, like
Yeah.
you say. We need something there, a sign, yeah, something.
Very good. Well,
And
thank you.
you can email
Okay,
me
bro.
those things too. If something
Yeah.
pops into your head and you wanna just email it to me, then we can kind of put it on for something to discuss at a
Yeah.
meeting.
And even if it's something minor, like I usually talk to our state highway office, like while I'm developing this letter. So if you just notice like, hey, the guardrail's really rusty here, or like this ditch looks like it needs cleaned up. I don't have to put it in my letter, but I can certainly bring it up to their maintenance people, and they usually are pretty proactive about it, so. Anything else?
Anything
That's-
else?
And I think that's it for me for now, but, I'll send you guys the invitation to the April 1st, it's like Pathways and Connection, public meeting.
Cool deal. All right, moving on up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
There's those zoning appeals cases, right?
No,
And we gotta vote for officers.
Yes. So right now, current officers are Tony's the chairman, vice chairman is Liz George, and secretary Jeff Messenger. So you need a motion whether
Oh,
to.
yeah, we need to get somebody, have any, nominations for chair?
I'll make, say I'm gonna make you the chair.
You do a good job.
Well, thank you.
You're not stepping down.
Anybody else? Let's put Julie in real quick, all right? That's kinda what they do to you, you know?
No, she's here, you wait till she's not.
Yeah, wait,
here.
yeah. I mean, I'm good to stay for a while, till things happen, so if you're good to have me, I'll stay. You wanna vote for that one first? All in favor? All opposed? So that one's moved. Liz is not here. Anybody wanna be vice chair? Anybody wanna nominate somebody for vice chair? I mean, it's up to you guys, whatever you think.
She's still
Tim?
going to the meetings and stuff. I was vice chair before, but it's easier for her to make a meeting than myself.
You wanna be vice chair again?
Not really. I mean,
Julie, you wanna be vice chair?
Was it Liz that wanted me the vice chair?
I don't know, I'm just
Oh, okay.
playing.
Or can we not nominate her if she's not here?
I think you can nominate somebody if they're not here.
well, the last time I stepped down, she said she would like the position,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Let's let her have it. Let her have it.
It was on the agenda, so everybody had a chance to,
All right,
show
I'll
up.
make a motion for Liz to be.
Make a motion for Liz, any
I'll
comments? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Let's do the same thing, I'll make a motion for Jeff, for any further discussion, second? All in favor?
Aye.
So moved, same people, same thing,
Sounds good.
we'll get you here pretty quick. Next week you come to the meetings, I'll make, we'll give you a position just like that. So, good. I appreciate it. Chad, you handled that, I think we did the best thing there, situation with the road, I think that.
Yeah, it was a little awkward. I felt like I was getting a lot of people involved and I wasn't getting the whole story. I just kind of kept saying, look, all I'm trying to do is look what's in the subdivision ordinance, and if there are other parties involved, they need to be made aware of this. I don't want to get in a situation where the planning commission is deciding on something where other people don't know about it or something
In my
like that.
opinion, that's why I asked about the arbitration, that's where it should be decided, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing I would make clear is I think there seems to be some confusion between the difference of road and right-of-way.
Right.
And what that road out there, you've all made those decisions before. Sometimes we might have an 11-foot road, it's supposed to be 12. And there, does it really make sense to make them put 6 inches of gravel on each side? That, you can make a pretty good claim that that's a hardship, that the road actually serves its purpose. But if there's no room beyond the edges of that, and again, if it's a contentious situation and a fence or rocks could be put up there, I'm concerned that you may not be able to get vehicles through that properly. So there should be some, I think, at least some leeway on the edges of that. I also explained to them this is different than if this were just a case where this were maybe a building permit. We have those cases sometimes where I might say, look, we can't landlock somebody, that's their only access to their property, it is what it is. But once you try to create new lots, I think that's where the subdivision ordinance steps in and says every new lot has to have safe and permanent access to a road. So at that point, I think we have a duty through the subdivision ordinance as a consumer protection device to say, look, maybe that was their old traditional access, but if you want to sell a lot to somebody new, they need to have safe, permanent access of a proper right-of-way width. Maybe it doesn't have to be all the way out to 30 foot, but it has to be sufficient that we're not gonna have those people have problems get to their new lots. So that's where I was kind of drawing a line to say, look, I think.
Yeah, I've never seen one come back out of arbitration back into a situation like this and then.
Well, hopefully they get talking with attorneys and it'll all be clearer and better next time.
I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want us deciding their cases for them. I
Right.
want us just looking at what's in the ordinance. Do we think this road's safe? Do we think the right of way or steepness or something like that? That's what we're here to do, not get into all the details of a family situation to make those calls, so.
Are they arguing against 16-foot right of way? Cause that's what exists, right? That's my understanding.
Again, I'm not
Is
getting
that
all the
deeded?
story of what's happening in the right of way. The first plat was presented to me as 30 foot and I signed it. The second one was 16. And that's what I was told happened at arbitration, and therefore I was willing to agree to that because it was based on arbitration. But as it keeps shrinking, my point is I don't think you can get the road in there. I mean, you would be plowing snow onto their neighbor, and is that just gonna cause?
Who submitted this plan that they haven't seen yet? Another family member then?
Yes,
Kerry Schultz submitted it to me.
On behalf of,
The estate, from what
I believe he said in the email that it was, cause I said, who is coming to present this? And, he said that was, I don't have the whole email chain, but he said it was presented on behalf of the heirs, I think, I don't wanna misquote him. And that's when I said, I don't know who all these people are, it's not my responsibility to try to run everybody down and make sure everybody's aware. One of the lawyers was involved, and then both of them eventually contacted me, and I said, look, it's not my job to
So
find
there's-
everybody.
there's additional heirs and.
I don't know
Here
who
today?
all it is,
Oh.
I don't wanna
Yeah.
sort all that out and miss
You
somebody.
assume that.
I put it on the two lawyers to say, hey, look, this is my position, you need to contact your clients and make sure everybody's aware of this before.
I mean, if we get the same situation too, with the situation with John Bell was going up over the hill there at Point View, we get the situation with the road needs to be safe for fire trucks and stuff like that, 11 feet, if that's the right of way they're gonna require.
Yeah.
I think I think you're right, that's where the gray area, the road now is existing 11 feet wide.
Mhm.
All they need, what they should have went for a waiver for 2-foot shoulders on both sides, and that would have simplified it instead of trying to, I don't think Katie, they hadn't seen it, but I don't think they understand that's what your 16 foot would have done, it'd have given it, right?
Yeah, 16 was small, but I felt like that was a compromise
Right.
we could live with due to.
What they tried to do is go 11 foot being the right of way and everything.
Yeah, everything.
And you can't,
Cars can't even pass hardly.
No.
They pump and mirrors.
right.
Yeah.
Fire truck, forget it.
Yeah, and there's some
Nothing-
sharp
nothing's
turns
past a
there,
fire
so,
truck on 11 truck right away.
yeah, if somebody decided to put a fence on each side, I don't know that you could navigate a fire truck through there, so.
Well, we'll see how it comes back, I mean, hopefully they can resolve without any more issues. Anybody have anything else?
I can just say, alcohol will prove anything 11 foot, I mean, that's.
Yeah, and I
there's
told
seven
them,
lots up there in top of the hill by the looks of it, I mean, you're kidding yourself.
yeah, and I told them all, I said, I try to always give you guys freedom to listen to the case and listen to everybody. That's when I would make a little stronger point that I don't think it's safe and shouldn't be approved, because it's just not
I
mine.
mean, as of 12 o'clock, nobody was coming to represent anybody,
That was the last I heard, so.
so I mean, that's just, I mean, before Jeff. I mean, I know you weren't expecting Katie,
No, last I told him, I said, it's on the agenda and it's gonna be heard unless somebody wants to officially withdraw. I was putting it on them, like, it's been submitted to me, somebody needs to officially withdraw it, or we're just gonna hear it. And I was gonna give the offer to everybody that we could continue it if that was appropriate too, so.
Okay, folks, everybody be safe and stay warm. Meeting adjourned.